there's been a lot of stuff that you read on social media as to why this all happened, and the easy one is we're taking over 300 million barrels of oil, the largest deposit in the world, and that could be. The other is the drug trafficking, that we're stopping that in our hemisphere, and that could be. But the one that I thought was interesting was preventing Maduro and Venezuela to sell oil in currency other than dollars. And what I had read over the weekend, the guy was saying Gaddafi tried to do it, they took him out. Iran tried to do it, and we've blown up we've taken away some of their strength. Everybody who's tried to sell oil other than dollars and to really remove the dollar's reserve currency status has been deposed. So we talked the other day, and we were in a short that said, what would happen if is it possible that the dollar would lose its reserve currency? And you said, I think Trump would do everything he can to prevent that.
Tooth and nail. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
here we are. If that really is one of the major reasons why, proves to your point. And my comment was, I certainly would hope so that he would do that. And here
I
we are.
got
Everybody, welcome to Markets and Madness. Welcome to 2026, the place where we discuss the madness that occurs when economics, politics, and personalities all move in different directions. Tim and I start the year. How are you, Tim? Happy New Year.
good. We're off to a hell of a start here.
We are off to a hell of a start. Yeah. Maduro, gold, oil, stocks. It's all
Yeah.
blowing up in front of us.
There's no truth to the rumor that that Trump is going to send troops to extract Mamdani from New York and bring him.
Well, I know there's a lot of social media talk that he brought Maduro to New York just to basically push it in Mandami's face. Like, yeah, here you are.
Well, I
Here's your
think that's where
social.
the indictment was drawn up. So
Yeah,
I don't, if he was going to, they couch this in a way, getting the FBI involved to say, we're simply apprehending a criminal.
that's
You
right.
know,
We're
right? The
executing a
guy's not
warrant.
recognized,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and the Biden administration didn't recognize him, and in fact, they had a $25 million price on his head. So, I mean, he's got his bases covered. It's pretty
he's got
smart.
legally. He's not overthrowing anyone. But the Danes are pretty upset now. Did he say something recently about Greenland again? Because I saw
Yeah,
the Prime
well,
Minister of Denmark.
I think he sent an ambassador, or it had something to do with the new ambassador. And the ambassador is a big proponent of seizing Iceland.
Greenland.
I don't know where that goes. Not Iceland, but
Greenland. Yeah.
Greenland. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, um, I guess we could lead with the stock market opening up 700 points. I mean, having a Dow is flying, S&P is flying.
I'll tell you what the buy is, and we've been talking about it. The oil service companies,
Yeah.
the shippers and the pipe transporters. I saw Schlumberger was up big.
Yeah. I've got some of that, and I saw that was a big plus this morning.
Yeah, I mean that's a no-brainer. It
Yeah.
seems to me that all along, drill baby drill means those guys are going to be working. They're not going to be able to answer their phones.
Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah, those are the winners, certainly. What do you think about some of the other Latin American countries that have been a
well, the thing
thorn in
you
the
said
U.S.
to
side?
me was very interesting about gold or about the bricks and oil.
Yeah.
Why don't you lead with that?
Yeah, I mean, what I've been reading, there's been a lot of stuff that you read on social media as to why this all happened, and the easy one is we're taking over 300 million barrels of oil, the largest deposit in the world, and that could be. The other is the drug trafficking, that we're stopping that in our hemisphere, and that could be. But the one that I thought was interesting was preventing Maduro and Venezuela to sell oil in currency other than dollars. And what I had read over the weekend, the guy was saying Gaddafi tried to do it, they took him out. Iran tried to do it, and we've blown up some of we've taken away some of their strength. Everybody who's tried to sell oil other than dollars and to really remove the dollar's reserve currency status has been deposed. So we talked the other day, and we ran a short that said, what would happen if is it possible that the dollar would lose its reserve currency? And you said, I think Trump would do everything he can to prevent
Fight
that.
tooth and nail. Yeah,
And here,
absolutely.
and here we are. If that really is one of the major reasons why, proves to your point. And my comment was, I certainly would hope so that he would do that. And here
I
we
got to
are.
tell you that I don't have any doubt at all that he would move heaven and earth if somebody tried to remove the dollar's status as a reserve currency. I mean, he would stop trade with everybody, send troops to Venezuela, absolutely. But this is, I've said a number of times that this guy thinks in three dimensions. He plays three-dimensional chess with everybody.
Hmm.
And this checks so many boxes. I mean, it checks the reserve oil box, dollars for oil. It checks the Western Hemisphere is our hemisphere box. I mean, he's made it very clear that he's drawn a line above Greenland and below the Panama Canal, and he's told China. And I would go as far as to say that there's a deal on the table that said, look, you want Taiwan? Once we get our capacity to build chips exported and we have it domestically, yeah, okay, you can take Taiwan because that's in your hemisphere, and we're not going to fight you on that. But in our hemisphere, I think that's the deal basically, and I think he's trying to pull Russia into the West, and now he's got oil held over Russia, right? You want Venezuelan oil? We're going to sell it to you. We'll give it to you. But it's part of his Ukraine deal. I mean, he's interlocking all of these different deals so they fit one another. He's checking a lot of boxes.
Yeah, it is interesting on a number of different levels, and you have a lot of people who disregard what he says. Trump's an idiot. Trump's an idiot, but he is pretty strategic minded in what
Now,
he
over the
puts
weekend,
forward.
I've been thinking about this. There used to be a word. It's gone out of favor now. I think it's a Russian word. It's called realpolitik. Realpolitik. And realpolitik means we don't govern on moral grounds. We reality and pragmatism. And I think that's the problem that the left has with Trump. It's not a moral. If he can get moral justification, moral high ground, he'll try to build it in. But it's secondary. It's all about realism and pragmatic. And what's pragmatic? Is it really pragmatic to defend Taiwan? Well, maybe it is because we got a chip industry that the bulk of the economy is depending on right now. But going forward, I don't think so. And a realpolitik would say jettison, let them go. Give it away and make sure you get something for it. Make sure you get them removed, getting out of the Panama Canal, not threatening our trade routes. Get Russia to move in with us and maybe come to grips with some kind of peace in Ukraine. This is a realpolitik president.
That's interesting. It's an interesting thought. This is your part of the world. This is our part of the world. You do what you want. We'll do what I want. Don't come into my space. I won't come into yours.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. We
Yeah.
can we can we can visit and have coffee every now and then. Come over for a beer, and we've got a great relationship. But
The crumb cake,
yeah,
but
yeah. But with respect to blocking off my trade routes, no, you don't do that. You know. And let me show you this fleet. And I also read that China put $6 billion worth of air defenses into Venezuela that we neutralized.
right,
So
right.
this was a show to the rest of the world that we got technology that you don't know anything about.
So in a sense, this was the Bay of Pigs in 2 hours and 40 minutes, right? He went in
Well,
there.
yeah, but that's the other part of the
Yeah,
dimension, Cuba.
yeah.
I mean, I loved Rubio the other day watching what he said. He couldn't contain himself, and basically he's a Cuban American, and his message to Cuba was, "You're next. Watch out."
Cuba, Colombia, right? All that it can drop. Yeah. Yeah, Latin America is going to be an interesting place to be going forward.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gains there. Chile and Argentina are right in the middle.
Well, you know what we said last year, that he picks a horse in a region. He's divided the world into regions, and Argentina is his horse in Latin America. And Israel, and maybe to a lesser extent, Jordan and Saudi Arabia, are his horses in the Middle East. And we'll take care of our own backyard. Um, but he's, I don't know, it's all about the elections.
You mentioned Saudi Arabia, and just going back to the point about the petrodollar. This thing that I read said in 1974, I believe it was, Kissinger made a deal with the Saudis
The
and
petrodollar,
said
that's right.
we will provide military protection to the kingdom and your surroundings, but we want to make sure that oil is always priced in dollars, and that was the tit for tat. So we can run our deficits and we can do what we need to do, but we'll provide military support for you.
And what country did Saddam invade? Was it Kuwait?
Kuwait, Kuwait,
Yeah. And we rushed to Kuwait, and that defended the petrodollar,
right,
right? And now, I guess you could make a very strong argument that Trump's action in Venezuela was protecting the petrodollar as well.
right, right.
And he's
So
got Saudi Arabia in line with that as well.
right. So, you could talk about the drug trafficking, you could talk about the oil reserves, and I'm sure that was all a part of it. And it gave him clear background to go in and take Maduro out because we got to, he's been a criminal. That's it. We're going in. We're going to apprehend the criminal.
Yeah.
But
We could have used the bounty hunter, but instead we saved $50 million, got him ourselves.
right,
Rubio raised that $50 million. Trump said, make sure nobody tries to collect that.
very interesting,
Yeah.
very interesting. So yeah, I think Latin America is going to be an interesting place in
Yeah.
2026.
But looking at the landscape here, the political landscape here, I think the big problem that they have, the left has with Trump, is he doesn't rule. He's not driven by moral considerations. If he can find a justification for taking a moral high ground, he'll do it. But Maria told me something very interesting. She saw a video on Mar-a-Lago, and we got some visitors coming. We're going to drive them around Mar-a-Lago, so we want to show them this documentary first. And I don't know if you know it, but I forget the rich family that owned Mar-a-Lago originally, donated to the government first, and the government couldn't afford, gave it back and said it's too expensive. So they put it up for sale, and Trump bid $7 million for it. And they ignored the bid. They rejected the bid. So he bought the property next door between that and the ocean. And he let it be known that he would build on that property if somebody bought Mar-a-Lago. So basically,
Devalued the price of Mar-a-Lago.
and then he put his $7 million bid in, and he got the property for $7 million.
Okay. And was that part of the whole case against him that Mar-a-Lago isn't worth what he thinks it's worth with hundreds of millions of dollars?
I don't. I probably, I mean,
Yeah.
this was years ago.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of buy the property in front of along the river and say I'm going to block your view. So I basically devalued the company. It's not valuable to anybody but me because I own that piece of land. He bought Boardwalk and Park Place basically.
Right. Right. That is interesting. That is interesting.
So that's what I think Venezuela's a piece of that. I think you hit it with the petrodollar issue. He's defending the dollar as a reserve currency. That was part of this action.
And it's funny because we just spoke about this 3 days ago. Right.
I would have bet my life
Yeah.
that he would do anything
Right.
to defend the dollar as a reserve currency. And you said I would hope so, and there's no doubt in my mind. And that's why I was concerned about BRICS before the election. And after the election, I went and told my friend who's very high on BRICS. I said, you can write BRICS off for the next 4 years anyway, because he'll well trade as an issue. But yeah, India, you want to join BRICS? South Africa, you're not going to sell a toothpick into this country.
Right.
You know? Tariffs is basically a wall that he raises and lowers when he wants other concessions from people. But but when you get down to trade embargoes, when he says no, India, you want to sell us silk and manufactured clothing? No, forget about it. And the Gap and all of them, they go crazy. But you know, buy it American, pay extra 10%, and you know what? I'll give you with some kind of benefit for it. Just like he's doing to the farmers. To the farmers, I'll subsidize you, and I'll eat your costs here, but we need to throw up a block here.
You're not selling that to China, to Russia. Yeah, that's interesting. So stocks, we like the drillers more than we liked them in the past.
Yeah, yeah, the drillers and the pipelines and the shippers and I noticed natural gas was down today by 3 or 4% this morning.
Well, I think there's a big natural gas reserve as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's easier to get out of the ground than the heavy oil that
why would
everybody's
oil
talking
go
about.
up and natural gas go down? I didn't get that.
Why would oil go up?
It did though.
I know.
Yeah,
And everybody's saying, well, because it's going to take years and years and years to get the heavy oil
I
out of
think
the
oil
ground.
went up because OPEC said, "Well, we'll curb production if you're going to put Venezuela online." I think that's what oil did.
Right. But it's years before Venezuela's online.
Yeah, and OPEC
Years.
is standing there to adjust their output, but we can't control U.S. output.
But
I always
natural
thought,
gas, there's supposed to be a huge, huge deposit of natural gas there as well.
well, maybe that's quicker to get out of the ground, you know. And then you got to love the natural gas shippers then.
Right. Yeah. What was that one that we were on last year?
Gee,
LNG. Right.
Flex Natural Gas, I think it is, pays a 12% dividend. Yeah, so you get paid to wait.
Right.
Stock is around $25, and I think the dividend is $3. So at 24, it's 12%.
Interesting. That sounds like a winner.
Yeah, and you don't buy the options, buy the stock, take the dividend. You know.
Um, Gold is way up again today.
Whoa,
And silver,
$100,
100
120.
bucks. Yeah. What's the fear there?
I
Is it,
guess
is it fear premium that, is going to be something bigger to this?
put a gun to my head. I think it's what Colombia's next, Cuba's next. Let's preserve our assets. Bitcoin's up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's up. Starting the year, everything's up. I would have thought, and I was just telling somebody this on over the weekend. He was asking, "What do you think of the stock market?" And I said, "I thought it was a little overvalued for the last several weeks, last several months." And I've been doing the downside risk reversals, buying the puts, selling the calls, doing it at zero cost. And he said, "Well, what do you think now?" I said, "Well, I think that the market hasn't taken these huge gains that they had in 2025 because of tax considerations, and maybe the first couple of weeks of the year you're going to see a big sell-off. But starting the year like we are today,
Yeah.
that seems like the wrong
I wouldn't
position."
use the word overvalued because, from a value standpoint, a year from now we could be a lot higher. Um, the only part of that trade I don't like is writing the calls. I think you could buy puts and you could buy calls, and you can be
Yeah,
fine either way.
but instead of selling out your open positions, I think the idea for me is you sell the downside, buy the upside. If you're right, you're going to hit a home run.
Well,
If you're
then,
wrong,
okay, you're not talking about naked calls, you're talking about covered rights.
yeah,
Basically, right against the stuff you own,
yeah,
as
exactly.
opposed to writing naked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insurance. Overall, it's insurance and it's zero cost insurance. And if the market does go up 10%, well, you're taking out at better levels. This is what you thought was going to happen.
Yeah, and again, the only part of that I don't like is you're selling vol.
You're not. You're basically volatility neutral
Well, you're
because you're short and
capturing
long.
vol. You're capturing vol
No, you're
at these
not.
levels.
You're not even. You'll depending on where the market moves, you become volatility sensitive. You'll become delta sensitive. If you're short the calls and the market goes up, well, yeah, now you're short delta.
Maybe we're talking about two different things. I'm saying that if you have a covered right, you own XYZ stock and you write calls against it, you captured a volatility premium.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's for that trade. But what I was talking about was zero cost. Buy the downside, sell the upside, and now you're basically delta neutral.
But you're not
And
selling the upside naked. You're selling the upside against stuff you own.
for what I was doing is selling S&Ps against my overall portfolio. So I'm not specifically selling covered calls, but it's the open positions.
It's
And
covered right against your portfolio. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So if the market goes up and I'm short, yeah, then I become sensitive to the
The
shorts.
only danger here is this market could rally another 5,000 points.
But do you think that people are going to take advantage of the gains that they've had? We've had huge upside so far this in the last year, since April, in the last 9 months, we've had huge upside, and we haven't really seen the pullbacks. Now, I thought it was because of 2025. Nobody wanted to take the tax consequences in 2025. You roll it into the new year, and you see. So I still am under the impression that we're going to get some downside.
I'm not arguing with that, but essentially, I think you could wrap it all up by saying it's a sentiment trade, and sentiment's a little too bullish right now.
Hmm.
So you're really talking about a technical correction as opposed to a revaluation. And that's the only reason I raised this because you used the word valuation, and I think a year from now we could be a lot higher. I mean, the big beautiful bill hasn't kicked in yet. We don't have a new Fed chairman, and you got the price of oil. People are going to gas up their car at 2.25 a barrel, a gallon, which is going to be a tremendous synergy to this economy. I could easily see a 5% GDP. So you don't want to write calls in that environment unless you own something underneath it.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I think the consumer's stretched, and until we see those gas prices and oil prices come down, I think we're pushing on a string here. So, and we
Yeah,
till
you
we
know
see the big beautiful bill kick
the,
in.
pro- the problem with gasoline is you got to refine the crude, and that's where the bottleneck is. We don't have the refineries. We haven't built
Mhm.
a refinery in something like 40 or 50 years. The EPA has kept big oil out of that business completely. So and it'll take you 5 years to 8 years to build a refinery. So it's not like we're going to populate refineries all over the place, unless they find a good technological solution to refining oil. The price of crude could drop, and at some point you're just not going to be able to crack it.
Right. Too expensive. Yeah.
Well, it's not too expensive. It's no availability. There's no you flood the market with crude, and there's only so many refineries that turn it into gasoline.
Okay. And when it comes down to a certain price, it's too expensive to get out of the ground, right?
Well, that's what they say.
Yeah.
Technology helps there too. I mean, to what extent is AI going to change that? The number that they keep throwing at me is $60 a barrel. It doesn't pay. Oil is stable at $60 a barrel. That's what one of my guys at the meeting keeps saying, the oil guy.
I thought it was a lot lower than that.
Yeah, well, we've seen it at 40 and 45.
Right.
And when they got below 40, I remember they were capping the wells.
Right.
because it
I thought
wasn't
that
more.
that's what I was going to say. I thought the number was 35.
Well, 35
Yeah.
is 50 now with inflation. So I don't really know what those numbers look like. This guy's throwing 60 out. Maybe he's right. Man has a different number, but whatever that number is, let's call it 55 as a break even. It's got to go down significantly lower for them to start capping oil, capping wells.
Hmm.
But even if they got plenty of oil out of the ground, they can't refine the stuff. So it doesn't turn into gasoline at the pump. And that's the problem they're faced with.
So natural gas then has the opportunity to come off.
Well, natural, what they're doing, according to the guy in my group that was plugged into the White House, he was an energy guy. He's an energy, some undersecretary in the energy department. He said, "We're going with natural gas wherever we can." So that to me means that we're not going to run cars on natural gas, but we'll run power plants on natural gas, coal and natural gas as opposed to oil. And we'll ship the crude wherever we got to ship it. And they could refine it offshore where they got refineries and the EPA is not breaking their balls. At least
Back to
that's what I got it.
back to Maduro for a second. I saw something else on online late last night that said there's some documents that there's a certain number of House members and Senate members who have been on the receiving end of Maduro's largesse to move in his favor. I don't know
I,
if it's real or not,
I
but
saw a list. Did you see the list?
I saw the list.
I
Yeah,
saw the list, and there
seemed
were,
like this. It seemed like there was 80 out of 100 senators on the list.
yeah, there weren't that many Republicans, but there were a few.
Yeah,
Schumer was on the list.
Schumer was on the list.
Yeah,
Schiff was on the list.
and I don't really know if that list is accurate or not.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah, but I thought it was interesting. And there's some people who feel that Maduro saw it was coming and told his people to lay down and walked onto the plane by himself. I don't know if that's true either. There's been
Eh,
so much back and forth.
I think it's funny that he was inviting him. Come and get me. Come and get me. Okay. All right.
Okay, what time do you want me there? All right. Yeah, it's a very interesting start to the new year. Something we didn't expect, but here we are, in the middle of it all.
Yeah. This guy is, you can't pitch around him. You can't pitch around him.
That's right. All right. Well, it was a good start to the year.
All
Let's
right.
see where it goes from here. All right,
Talk
Tim.
to you.
Thanks.